Alright, so I want to talk for a minute here about what the internet says like the worst unit ever, and it kinda is, and that's the Imperial Guard Conscript. The Conscript is a 4-point Imperial Guardsman. Now, before I make the case as to what makes him any good, let's make the case of what makes him so darn terrible. Um, for example, there's 3 levels of Imperial Guardsmen. You got your veterans, your Imperial Guardsmen, and your conscripts. Veterans are 7 points, and they have an increase in ballistic skill and an increase in leadership. So that combined is worth 2 points more than your average guardsman, which is basically stat 3 all around. He's 5 points, um, and he's ballistic skill 3, strength 3, toughness 3, weapon skill 3, initiative 3. I wish his wounds were 3. um, but and then so that's 5 points, and then for 1 point less, for 4 points, you take a hit to weapon skill, a hit to ballistic skill, a massive hit to leadership, and that's apparently minus 1 point. So when you increase one skill that matters, leadership doesn't really matter that much, it goes up 2 points. But when you decrease two skills that matter a lot, it goes down 1 point. So that's not really a good trade-off. I mean, that's just basic thought. Um, Not only that, but the conscript can't take anything that makes him stronger. The conscript is kind of just what he is. You can't give him flamethrowers, which would make the ballistic skill not really matter all that much. You can't give him, you know, grenade launchers, same thing. And you can't give him a commissar. So your conscripts kind of spend the game, you know, dying. People are just like, what good is a conscript? Well, and you have to invest in Chenkov because you need to send in the next wave rule. Now, you're working really hard here. You're investing a lot of points to get what? A unit that doesn't die, basically. If you can take 1 or even 2 units of 30 conscripts and then Chenkov, which requires his own platoon, so for this you have to field 2 platoons, and you really have to work this in. Um, 2 squads of 30 conscripts, you're basically going to have a large army at every point in the game. There's so many talking points here, I'm kind of getting lost. So 30 conscripts, why 30? We'll start with that. 20 conscripts is the minimum. 20 conscripts isn't enough because 25% casualties becomes 5 conscripts, and you're going to lose 5 conscripts a turn easy. So you're not going to hold the line with 20. 30 conscripts becomes perfect because it's enough conscripts to matter. For example, with first rank fire, second rank fire, that's 90 shots. Even at ballistic skill 2, just look at orcs, 90 shots is going to get a couple of kills. But more than that, it's enough to survive. I mean, the 25% casualties becomes, I think it's 7. And 7 conscripts, while only 2 more than before, is, you should only lose like 6 or 7. So you'll be alright. And it's kind of not, you get enough guardsmen to matter, but not so many guardsmen that you're afraid to take them off the board. And that's a big deal. You wanna be able to take them off the board confidently and not feel ruined. How does send in the next wave work is the next big question that people ask. And it's basically, they start on your turn, intact. The enemy will shoot at them, and then let's say that there's like an Earthshaker cannon or something that fires, and boom, half of them are gone. If they don't retreat, if that ever happens, if they do retreat, or if they don't, they're going to be useless either way. So what you do is you take them off the board. You elect to have them all die on your turn, and then on your next turn they come on the board from reserves. So it takes a couple, takes a turn, a good solid turn of no conscripts. But then you get the full 30 conscripts back. And so that's how sending the next wave works. A lot of people think that it works faster than that or slower than that. No, I mean that's how it goes. As far as what to do with them now, this is kind of what makes conscripts good in my book. First turn, you have them, in front of everybody, as far forward as possible. Give them scouts if you have creed. If you don't have creed, then just don't worry about it. Just get them up forward. If the enemy shoots at them, they're killing conscripts, so it really doesn't matter. They're going to come back either way. If they don't shoot at them, then they're moving forward. And even though they're just conscripts, once they get within 12 inches and they start popping 90 shots a turn, all of a sudden they're a big problem. And your enemy will shoot at them and shoot at them and shoot at them. And, when they finally all die, then they get to come back. And let's say that you have, an objective over in a corner, and nobody's on it, but it's on your side of the board, and your opponent's like, what's this? And then, when your conscripts come back, they can just hold an objective. And let's say you really want that objective held, then when they die again, they'll come right back on the objective. They can literally hold the objective almost forever. And that's nothing to nothing to write off. I mean that's awesome. You kind of have to work out the turns and send in the next wave. Ultimately, I think a lot of people don't like conscripts, and ultimately they're not all that great. I'm not advertising them as the next super unit, but I am advertising them as a unit that is viable and that you can bring into a game. I personally like them very much so. I think the idea is really cool. I think that they need to be 3 points. And I think send in the next wave should come in standard. That would make them very good, very common actually. That would be fantastic. But you just don't see that. And I don't think Chenkov himself is anything worth mentioning. I think Chenkov's awful. But he's worth the points just to get sent in the next wave. Which is something a lot of people just don't understand or know about. And it's fun to do every now and then. I mean, I'm not, not advertising it as, the best thing ever, basically. But it's fun. I mean, just try it out once or twice. You don't even need a unit of 30. I mean, if you're just hanging out with your buds, just do a unit of 20. One of the things we'll often do, and I don't want to hold you all too long, one of the things we often do is put like a hero on the board or something and see how long he can last against conscripts, But the conscripts can't shoot. The conscripts can only go into close combat, and it's just kind of it's fun. Just try it out once or twice. So far the record is for Captain Lysander, and I believe he lasted against, I think it was like 120. I don't know. It was awesome.